And presidential
Donald
debate
Trump
in my layman
that says,
terms.
whoa, let's slow down. Let's slow things down. Let's look inward a
You
little
don't
bit.
understand
Let's
what's
not
going
let
on and
that
what they're
get
saying, what
lost
they're going to
tonight.
do.
Let's bring
I'll
in
break
our
it down
colleague
in simple
Tom
terms so you
Brokaw,
can
obviously
understand it.
somebody who's watched a lot of
And you can have a
debates, but doesn't
better
this feel
say
like there's
on who
something
you want to
special
be the
about this
president.
one? If nothing else,
This
because
is
they
all
think maybe 100 million people could be
basically saying
watching.
I've never seen one quite like this, in part because of that 100 million people, a lot of them are still trying to make up their minds. This is going to be very important.
Let me move forward.
Sell herself tonight, and Bill Clinton is here. He never attended any of the primaries.
Let's move forward just a little bit more.
Format and the rules have been agreed to by the campaigns. The 90-minute debate.
Hold up. I'm gonna get some headphones so I could hear the campaign better and explain to you guys more. I'm gonna stop streaming and restart.
Better relationships.
All right, hey guys, here we go.
From NBC News.
I'm covering, in my layman terms, the presidential debate of
Decision
Hillary Clinton
2016,
against Donald
the
Trump.
first
Here we go.
presidential debate. Live from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. Here now,
Never heard of
Savannah
Hofstra
Guthrie
University.
and Chuck Todd.
And good evening, everybody. Nice to have you with us, Chuck. After all the hype, all the prep, all the pre-debate gamesmanship from both campaigns, this is it. We are literally just minutes away now from the start of this first and all-important presidential debate on the stage behind us. We've already seen the candidates tonight. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump each arriving here a bit earlier this evening.
Both wearing their
waiting
colors.
backstage. And Chuck, we've had a moment tonight.
Yeah.
President Bill Clinton is in the house and met Mrs. Melania Trump, and they just shared that handshake. We've got the whole families assembled here.
We do, and I think one thing we got to remember, as big of personalities that they are, and we know this is going to be a clash of big personalities, this is also a clash of two competing visions of America. Hillary Clinton embracing the many cultural changes, the diversity, the acceleration of globalization that's happening. Donald Trump embracing a vision that says, whoa, let's slow down, let's slow things down, let's look inward a little bit. Let's not let that get lost
For
tonight.
you guys who
Let's
don't
bring
know,
in our
I'm not
colleague Tom Brokaw,
really into the
obviously
politics thing right
somebody
now,
who's
so
watched
I'm
a lot
watching
of
this to
debates,
get
but doesn't
into
this
it.
feel like
But I'm
there's
gonna be
something
expressing my
special
views and
about this one?
opinions throughout
If
the
nothing
video,
else, because they
so
think
that
maybe
way you
100 million
guys
people could
can
be
see
watching.
what
I've
my
never seen one quite
perception
like
is.
this, in part
And if
because
you
that
don't
100 million
understand
people,
something,
a lot of them are still trying
then
to make up
maybe
their
I can,
minds. This is going to be an important
explain
debate.
it.
You add to the television viewership, we've got social media going on, the tweeting that is going on, the texting that is going on, the streaming that is going on. This is the biggest electronic event in American history, to say nothing of American presidential
The
politics.
stakes are so high with the polls tight, as we've seen just as recently as today. Let's go to Andrea Mitchell. Excuse me, Hallie Jackson is in the spin room for us. Hallie, good evening.
Hey, Shark Tank.
Hi, Savannah. And here, media and surrogates are ready for what happens after the debate. But before then, here's Donald Trump's biggest test. Can he prove he has the temperament to be commander-in-chief? It's one of his biggest negatives with voters. Too many insults, and he could come off like a bully. Too few specifics, and he could seem unprepared. Savannah?
All right, Hallie Jackson, thank you.
Let's go to Andrea Mitchell, who has been covering the Clinton campaign. What's Hillary Clinton's goal tonight, Andrea?
Well, her need is to really relate to people, especially those millennial voters. And very frankly, one of her top aides said to me, we're glad we have Donald Trump to debate against because he's the draw. He's drawing 100 million people, and that's the kind of crowd Hillary Clinton has not been able to attract.
So basically what she
now
just
has
now
to
said
sell
is
herself tonight.
Donald Trump's
Bill
in the
Clinton is
lead.
here. He never attended any of the primary debates.
So it's just a catch-up game with Hillary, but Hillary's right
So
behind
we're about
him.
30 seconds away now
So
from this debate.
we will find
The
out.
stakes are very high, and as I mentioned a bit
and
earlier, the polls are
See
extremely
what they have to
tight.
say about running the
I
country.
do think the audience is very fluid. We do have
Let's
a
just
whole
try
bunch
getting
of
it
people
fast
who are
forward a
either
little
none
bit.
of the above or
We'll explore three topics. I'm less.
we'll move after tonight.
Here we
we
have
go.
the multi-billionaire, the former First Lady, Secretary of State, and U.S. Senator about to debate. We'll let Lester Holt take it away.
Good evening from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. I'm Lester Holt, anchor of NBC Nightly News. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. The participants tonight are Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. The commission drafted tonight's format, and the rules have been agreed to by the campaigns. The 90-minute debate is divided into 6 segments, each 50 minutes long. We'll explore 3 topic areas tonight: achieving prosperity, America's direction, and securing America. At the start of each segment, I will ask the same lead-off question to both candidates, and they will each have up to 2 minutes to respond. From that point until the end of the segment, we'll have an open discussion. The questions are mine and have not been shared with the commission or
All right,
the
hurry
campaigns.
the fuck up.
The
I got
audience
it.
here in the room has agreed to remain silent so that we can
I
focus
didn't
on
agree
what
to
the
remain
candidates are
shit.
saying. I will invite you to applaud,
Let's
however,
go.
at this moment
I'm
as we
trying
welcome the
to
candidates.
get
Democratic
some.
nominee for President of the United States, Hillary Clinton, and Republican nominee for President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Hillary.
Good luck to you. Trump, good luck to you.
I like the look on his face. I was just
Well,
like,
don't expect us to cover all the issues
he's
of
holding
this
it,
campaign
taking a
tonight,
shit
but I
or
remind
something.
everyone there are 2 more presidential debates scheduled. We are going to focus on many of the issues that voters tell us are most important, and we're going to press for specifics.
I don't care. Hurry
I am
up.
honored to have
Ask
this
the
role,
questions.
but this evening belongs to the candidates and just as important to the American people. Candidates, we look forward to hearing you articulate your
Okay,
policies
get on with
and your
it.
positions, as well as your visions and your values. So, let's begin.
yes.
We're calling this opening segment Achieving Prosperity, and central to that is jobs. There are 2 economic...
For those who don't know, achieving prosperity means basically how we're going to be prosperous in this world. So what are the government going to do to make it easier for us to become wealthy? Let's continue.
realities in America today. There's been a record 6 straight years of job growth, and new census numbers show incomes have increased at a record rate after years of stagnation. However, income inequality remains significant, and nearly half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Beginning with youth.
Layman terms, yes, our economy is doing better, but there's still a lot of broke-ass niggas.
Secretary Clinton, why are you a better choice than your opponent to create the kinds of jobs that will put more money into the pockets of American workers?
Well, thank you, Lester, and thanks to Hofstra for hosting us. The central question in this election is really what kind of country we want to be and what kind of future we'll build together. Today is my granddaughter's 2nd birthday, so
For one, that's not a part of the fucking question. Answer the fucking question.
think about this a lot. First, we have to build an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top. That means we need new jobs, good jobs, with rising incomes. I want us to invest in you. I want us to invest in your future. That means jobs in infrastructure, in advanced manufacturing, in innovation and technology, clean renewable energy, and small business, because most of the new jobs will come from small business. We also have to make the economy fairer. That starts with raising the national minimum wage and also guarantee, finally, equal pay for women's work.
I thought we had that shit squared away back fucking when a motel or something full of women caught on fire and they gave them equal rights after that. What the fuck you talking about?
I also want to
There's women out there getting paid more than me.
see more companies do profit sharing. If you help create the profits, you should be able to share in them, not just the executives at the top. And I want us to do more to support people who are struggling to balance family and work. I've heard from so many of you about the difficult choices you face and the stresses that you're under. So let's have paid family leave, earned sick days. Let's be sure we have affordable
I can give
child care.
She is right.
And debt-free college. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it by having the wealthy pay their fair share.
I like that.
And close the
If I ain't gotta pay, cash out.
Corporate loopholes.
Okay, corporate loopholes are a big deal because corporate loopholes, what they do is it's a way for big, like, the rich people, they find loopholes through the IRS and things like that by either donating a huge amount of money to a foundation or organization, and it's a big tax write-off, so they don't have to pay as much money. So her talking about closing that is really a good idea because of the fact that it means that they're going to have to pay equally like the lower man is, and that beneficially to me sounds like it'll work out.
Finally, we tonight are on the stage together, Donald Trump and I. Donald, it's good to be with you. We're going to have a debate where we are talking about the important issues facing our country. You have to judge us. Who can shoulder the immense, awesome responsibilities of the presidency? Who can put into action the plans that will make your life better? I hope that I will be able to earn your vote on November 8th.
Secretary Clinton, thank you. Mr. Trump, the same question to you. It's about putting money, more money, into the pockets of American workers. You have up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lester. Our jobs are fleeing the country. They're going to Mexico. They're going to many other countries. You look at what China is doing to our country in terms of making our product. They're devaluing their currency, and there's nobody in our government to fight them. And we have a very good fight, and we have a winning fight, because they're using our country as a piggy bank to rebuild China, and many other countries are doing the same thing. So we're losing our good jobs, so many of them. When you look at what's happening in Mexico, a friend of mine who builds plants said it's the 8th wonder of the world. They're building some of the biggest plants anywhere in the world, some of the most sophisticated, some of the best plants. With the United States, as he said, not so much. So Ford is leaving. You see that, their small car division leaving. Thousands of jobs, leaving Michigan, leaving Ohio. They're all leaving, and we can't allow it to happen.
That what he's trying to mean by that, I understand that, is by jobs leaving. Okay, you got these big corporations, and say coffee. Coffee's a big one. We don't actually harvest coffee from the United States. There might be small coffee bean harvesters and stuff like that, but we mostly harvest our coffee from like Colombia, I guess, or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. Anyways, they actually go out of state and to like Asia and shit like that to get their actual product, like their beans and stuff like that. And in doing so, we're losing a lot of money for people who could be in the field at our own plantations, our own place that we're growing. And oil rigs, another thing. All the oil rigs in the West or whatever, they're shutting down and stuff like that. Why? Because we're starting to drill overseas and we're drilling in the sea and shit like that. So
anymore. As far as child care is concerned and so many other things, I think Hillary and I agree on that. We probably disagree a little bit as to numbers and amounts and what we're going to do, but perhaps we'll be talking about that later. But we have to stop our jobs from being stolen from us. We have to stop our companies from leaving the United States and with it firing all of their people. All you have to do is take a look at Carrier Air Conditioning in Indianapolis. They fired 1,400 people. They're going to Mexico. So many, hundreds and hundreds of companies are doing this. We cannot let it happen. Under my plan, I'll be reducing taxes tremendously, from 35% to 15% for companies, small and big businesses. That's going to be a job creator like we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan. It's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. Companies will come, they will build, they will expand, new companies will start, and I look very, very much forward to doing it. We have to renegotiate our trade deals, and we have to stop these countries from stealing our companies and our jobs.
Secretary Clinton, would you like to respond?
Well, I think that trade is an important issue. Of course, we are 5% of the world's population. We have to trade with the other 95%. And we need to have smart, fair trade deals. We also, though, need to have a tax system that rewards work and not just financial transactions. And the kind of plan that Donald has put forth would be trickle-down economics all over again.
Yes,
in fact, it would be the most...
What if you guys don't know what she means when she says trickle-down economics? That came out during the Ronald Reagan era, and during the Ronald Reagan era presidency, I should mean, while he was in office, he said we should tax the rich more, or no, tax the rich less, and let the money trickle down. So basically, if the rich don't have to pay as much taxes, they'll pay more taxes in the economy, as in Walmart or Sears or I don't know, Ross, I guess. And Ron Reagan said, well, it's going to happen. At first, it was really a good thing, but later on in the years, it came to bite America in the ass. But Ronald Reagan's trying to bring it back, and he thinks he's got it. But I personally don't think that it didn't work the first time. That's not going to work the second time.
Extreme version, the biggest tax cuts for the top percent of the people in this country than we've ever had. I call it trumped up. Trickle down, because that's exactly
good idea.
what it would
That's
be.
a good name.
That is not how we grow the economy. We just have a different view about what's best for growing the economy, how we make investments that will actually produce jobs and rising incomes. I think we come at it from somewhat different perspectives. I understand that. You know, Donald was very fortunate in his life, and that's all to his benefit. He started his business with $14 million borrowed from his father, and he really believed.
He started his own business with $15 million from his fucking father. Are you fucking shitting me?
Believes that the more you help wealthy people, the better off we'll be, and that everything will work out from there. I don't buy that. I have a different experience. My father was a small businessman. He worked really hard. He printed drapery fabrics on long tables where he pulled out those fabrics and he went down with a silk screen and dumped the paint in and took the squeegee and kept going. And so what I believe is the more we can do for the middle class, the more we can invest in you, your education, your skills, your future, the better we will be off and the better we'll grow. That's the kind of economy.
Well, she's got a good point. Basically, she's trying to say, let's raise taxes on the higher class and lower them on the middle class, so that way we build money up from the lower classes to the higher classes. So basically what she's saying is that she's going to raise the taxes on the bigger corporations, the one doing overseas exchanges and shit like that. And she's going to cut taxes for the small-time business and medium-time business owners. So that would probably be like Rayleigh's is a small-time business. Maybe even smaller. So who knows how low she's trying to go with the business cut. I think, who knows. But if that happens, that means prices are really going to be a lot cheaper in the restaurant. More money is going to be in circulation, and with the more money in circulation, the better the economy is.
I want us to see again.
Let me follow up with Mr. Trump if I can. You've talked about creating 25 million jobs, and you've promised to bring back millions of jobs for Americans. How are we going to bring back the industries that have left this country for cheaper labor overseas? How specifically are you going to tell American manufacturers that you have to come back?
Well, for one thing, and before we start on that, my father gave me a very small loan in 1975, and I built it into a company that's worth many, many billions of dollars.
That was not a part of the motherfucking question.
Some of the greatest assets in the world. And I say that only because that's the kind of thinking that our country needs. Our country's in deep trouble. We don't know what we're doing when it comes to devaluations, and all of these countries all over the world, especially China, they're the best ever at it. What they're doing to us is a very, very sad thing. So we have to do that. We have to renegotiate our trade deals. And Lester, they're taking our jobs, they're giving incentives, they're doing things that, frankly, we don't do. Let me give you the example of Mexico. They have a VAT tax. We're in a different...
Okay, what he's trying to say is he wants to keep how he's going to run the presidency and give us more money into our pocket is that he's going to stop the major corporations from, not stop them, but charge them. That means get more money out, cut the taxes, but if you're trading out of seas, you have to pay a tax on that. So that's basically what he's saying. He's saying that he's gonna give the bigger corporations and people with a lot of money big tax breaks, but if they're trading overseas, he's gonna put a tax on that. So that way he's trying to push them to stay in America, which is basically a bullying technique. So,
different system. When we sell into Mexico, there's a tax. When they sell in automatic, 16% approximately. When they sell into us, there's no tax. It's a defective agreement. It's been defective for a long time.
Then why fucking do business with them? If we ain't, if they sell to us and they don't have to pay nothing to fucking sell to us, and we gotta sell to them and pay something, no. Who the fuck told you how to fucking sell shit? Are you fucking kidding me?
Years, but the politicians haven't done anything about it. Now, in all fairness to Secretary...
The politicians are stupid.
Clinton? Yes? Is that okay? Good. I want you to be very happy. It's very important to me. But in all fairness to Secretary Clinton, when she started talking about this, it was really very recently. She's been doing this for 30 years. And why hasn't she made the agreements better? The NAFTA agreement is defective just because of the...
Okay, he talks as if she can go in and fucking say, I want this passed, this done, and this and that, and that. No. Not happening. You got to petition. You got to get other people. You got to get other parts of the government to agree with you. You got to...
From leaving, and that's a big factor.
Let Secretary.
Why is he touching, like, why is he even going near the business part of America? Like, I understand that's what you have to do, but he's going about it the wrong way. Like, our business structure is fine on the higher levels. It's flowing how it should. We just need to work on the middle and lower class levels so that way we flourish as a nation, not so competitive towards each other.
Well, let's stop for a second and remember where we were 8 years ago. We had the worst financial crisis, the Great Recession, the worst since the 1930s. That was in large part because of tax policies that slashed taxes on the wealthy.
Oh, this is going to be like a 3 or 4 part show, by the way. I'm only doing the first part of this. So let's continue.
Failed to invest in the middle class, took their eyes off of Wall Street, and created a perfect storm. In fact, Donald was one of the people who rooted for the housing crisis. He said back in 2006, gee, I hope it does collapse because then I can go in and buy some and make some money. Well, it did collapse.
That's called business, by the way.
9 million people.
How are you going to say that's called business when you're trying to get rid of something that's functioning and actually moving and going how it should be, and you said you hoped that it would crash? Like this, I told you at the beginning of the video, guys, that I wasn't going on nobody's side, but obviously it looks like I'm leaning towards Hillary because Trump in this category, you're thumbs down, bro.
9 million people lost their jobs, 5 million people lost their homes, and $13 trillion in family wealth was wiped out. Now, we have come back from that abyss, and it has not been easy. So we're now on the precipice of having a potentially much better economy, but the last thing we need to do is to go back to the policies that failed us in the first place. Independent experts have looked at what I've proposed and looked at what Donald's proposed, and basically they've said this, that if his tax plan, which would blow up the debt by over $5 trillion and would, in some instances, disadvantage middle-class families compared to the wealthy, were to go into effect, we would lose 3.5 million jobs. And
3.5 million jobs. That's a lot of fucking jobs that people would lose. And what she just basically, they both wrote a plan and how they're gonna go about doing this, and it's just a straight legit plan on what they're gonna do, what they're talking about, and they submit them to, I guess, people that have served in the office and know how it runs or it's running, and they do a survey or something on it, and they judge who's by how it goes. They judge, and I guess Trump's plan is gonna put us in the hole for like a long time, and by the look of his face, it looks like he is that type of guy.
Maybe have another recession. They've looked at my plans and they've said, okay, if we can do this, and I intend to get it done, we will have 10 million more new jobs because we will be making investments where we can grow the economy. Take clean energy. Some country is going to be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. Donald thinks that climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. I think it's real.
I did not.
Science is real.
I do not say that.
And I think it's
I do not
important
say
that we grip this and deal with it, both at home and abroad. And here's what we can do. We can deploy 500 million more solar panels. We can have enough clean energy to power every home. We can build a new modern electric grid. That's a lot of jobs.
That's a good-ass idea. If you didn't catch what she just said, basically what she just said was build a greener America. So build new solar panels all across the United States, over America, just new solar panels everywhere. You know what I mean? Manufacturing and all that. That's a lot of jobs that are going to be needed. So I could see where she's going with that. If you make America greener, a lot more jobs is gonna come into play. So I could see where she's going.
It's a lot of new economic activity. So I've tried to be very specific about what we can and should do, and I am determined that we're going to get the economy really moving again, building on the progress we've made over the last 8 years, but never going back to what got us in trouble in the first place.
Mr. Trump.
Learn from your mistakes is what she basically said.
She talks about solar panels. We invested in a solar company, our country. That was a disaster. They lost plenty of money on that one. Now, look, I'm a great believer.
I don't know what he's talking about, because everyone I've met that does solar, they say that they're making hell of the money on solar, and it's a good thing to invest in. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Everyone I've talked to where I live, they tell me straight up that I see they have solar panels. I ask them, so is it good money? Like, you save a lot of money on your PG&E bill? They say, yeah. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's an investment, retard, and sometimes investment takes a little bit longer than normal to realize that it's happened.
In all forms of energy. But we're putting a lot of people out of work. Our energy policies are a disaster. Our country is losing so much in terms of energy, in terms of paying off our debt. You can't do what you're looking to do with $20 trillion in debt. The Obama administration, from the time they've come in, is over 230 years worth of debt, and he's topped it. He's doubled it in a course of almost 8 years, 7.5 years to be semi-exact. So I will tell you this, we have to do a much better job at keeping our jobs, and we have to do a much better job at giving companies incentive to build new companies or to expand, because they're not doing it. And all you have to do is look at Michigan and look at Ohio and look at all of these places where so many of their jobs and their companies are just leaving. They're gone. And Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now? For 30 years you've been doing it, and now you're just starting to think of solutions.
Well, actually,
I will bring back jobs. You can't bring back jobs.
Well, actually, I have thought about this quite a bit.
Yeah, for 30 years.
I have, well, not quite that long. I think my husband did a pretty good job in the 1990s. I think a lot about what worked and how we can make it work again.
Well, he approved
3 million
NAFTA.
new jobs,
He approved
a balanced budget.
See, now he's just talking shit. He's just talking shit right now.
Incomes went up for everybody. Manufacturing jobs went up also in the 1990s, if we're
That is
actually
true.
going to look at the facts. When I was
When
in the
her
Senate,
husband was
I
in
had
presidency,
a number of trade
he
deals
was
that
bad,
came
I guess.
before
I don't
me,
really know the whole
and I
story.
held them all to the same
But
test.
jobs are up.
Will they create jobs in America? Will they raise incomes in America? And are they good for our national security? Some of them I voted for. The biggest one, a multinational one known as CAFTA, I voted against. And because I hold the same standards as I look at all of these trade deals. But let's not assume that trade is the only challenge we have in the economy. I think it is a part of it, and I've said what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a special prosecutor. We're going to enforce the trade deals we have, and we're going to hold people accountable. When I was Secretary of State, we actually increased American exports globally 30%. We increased them to China 50%. So I know how to really work to get new jobs and to get exports that help to create more new jobs.
Well, you haven't done it in 30 years or 26 years.
Well, I've been a senator,
You haven't
Donald,
done it.
And
You haven't
I
done
have
it.
been a
And
Secretary of State, and I have
Your
done
husband signed
a lot.
NAFTA, which was one of the worst things that ever
He's stuck on
happened.
NAFTA.
Well, that's your opinion.
I don't know what the fuck national.
your
You go to New
I don't know what that
England,
is.
you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Clinton, and you will see devastation where manufacturing is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly.
Oh, NAFTA's a trade deal. I remember reading about that in like 7th grade history, I guess. And NAFTA is like a certain trade agreement between everyone that they have to follow. It's like pirates. I don't fucking know. Trade, I guess. I don't know. But it's for the government.
Ever signed in this country. And now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. You were totally in favor of it. Then you heard what I was saying, how bad it is, and you said, I can't win that debate. But you know that if you did win, you would approve that, and that will be almost as bad as NAFTA. Nothing will ever top NAFTA.
That is just not accurate.
That is just not accurate. I guess not. Look at his face. This bitch.
Was against it once it was finally negotiated and the terms were laid out. I wrote about that in...
You called it the gold standard. You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against it.
Well, Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the facts. The facts are,
She burned his ass on fucking live TV.
A good deal, but when it was negotiated, which I was not responsible for, I concluded it wasn't. I wrote about that.
So is it President Obama's fault? Is it President Obama's fault?
He's just fucking stupid. It's Bush's fault. It's Obama's fault.
Look,
and it's probably going to be one of you guys' if you guys win's fault too. Honestly.
Secretary, is it President Obama's fault? Because he's pushing it.
There are different views about what's good for our country, our economy, and our leadership in the world. And I think it's important to look at what we need to do to get the economy going again. That's why I said new jobs with rising incomes, investments, not in more tax cuts that would add $5 trillion to the debt.
But you have no plan.
Oh, I do.
Secretary,
in fact,
you have no plan.
A book about it. It's called Stronger Together. You can pick it up.
Ha! Got him!
It's about all you.
Folks,
at the bookstore or at an airport near you.
We're going to move to...
But it's because I see this. We need to have strong growth, fair growth, sustained growth. We also have to look at how we help families balance the responsibilities at home and the responsibilities at business. So we have a very robust set of plans, and people who have looked at both of our plans have concluded that mine would create 10 million jobs and yours would lose us 3.5 million jobs and explode.
You are going to approve one of the biggest tax cuts in history. You are going to approve one of the biggest tax increases in history. You are going to drive business out. Your regulations are a disaster, and you're going to increase regulations all over the place. And by the way, my tax cut is the biggest since Ronald Reagan. I'm very proud of it. It will create tremendous numbers of new jobs. But regulations, you are going to regulate these businesses out of existence. When I go around...
I think I already said in this video, it didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the second time. I just fucking rewinded on this fucking video. No, I got to find it. It looks like... That's all, folks. Thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button. Like, and subscribe.